Fritz, this is Steven, and together we are Eepy Bird, known as the Coke and Mentos guys. Yes, indeed. So we have on this stage 101 bottles of Coke Zero, 606 Mentos mint candies. We are about to drop all 606 Mentos mint candies into all 101 bottles of Coke Zero and make a really big mess. This is what it's all about. Now you folks over here, just to let you know where you might be in harm's way, if you are in direct line with these tables, y'all might get wet. As we see a bunch of people move in that direction. And as we get over here, you're likely to stay dry. You might get just a little bit of spray. Actually, because of some of the demos, you might get wet right in here. You might get wet right in here. You're in harm's way. As we get over here, you're going to stay dry. You're, well, likely to stay drier, more and more likely to stay dry. We're hoping to keep this camera dry. That would be one really good thing. And then as we get over here to where we're right in line with these tables again, you guys right here might get wet. Now, if the wind kicks up, all bets are off. You might get wet. It's just that simple. We, however, are about to get soaked to the skin for your amusement. Now, before we get to the big spectacle, we want to show you a few things about this crazy Coke and Mentos thing. And if there is one thing that you take away from our show and your time here at Maker Faire, it is this. Try this at home. Indeed. So, to show you how, Stephen will tell us.
The simplest way to do this is just to take a simple piece of paper and a business card or a playing card or a credit card. Roll the paper into a tube and put the card over the bottom, and that will hold the Mentos in. Like that, and then you drop a handful of 5 or 6 Mentos mint candies into the tube, and that card will hold them in place, and you place that whole assembly over a bottle of soda. And when you pull the card out, the Mentos will fall in, and step back because you'll should get a nice little geyser. Ready to give it a try? And 3, 2, 1, pull. Now the most important part is when the geyser comes down, arms up. Yes. Now there is no reason everybody here can't do that this afternoon. Now when we did our 102 bottle video that went on YouTube, we couldn't do the paper card method because we had 100+ bottles all set up ready to go. What we did then was we took a string of 6 Mentos, each one has a little hole drilled in it by hand, threaded on a piece of fishing line, and then through a bottle cap with another hole drilled in it. That whole thing screws onto the bottle, and there's a binder clip, just a stationery store binder clip that goes on top that holds the thing from falling down. We then screw that bottle cap onto the bottle with the Mentos just an inch or so over the level of the soda. And then when we pull the binder clip off, the Mentos drop into the soda and shoot out the hole that we've drilled in the bottle cap. And that way you can set up more than one at once and do several at a time. We'll do 1, 3, 2, 1, pull. Whoa! What just happened was one of the Mentos shot back up. There we go, yes. One of the Mentos about halfway through shot back up and plugged the nozzle. And then Fritz touched it and the Mentos fell down and the whole thing went off again. So that's a good method for you to do yourself. You can make them by hand. It's fairly easy. But if you're doing 100 bottles at once, more than once a day, you get awfully tired of drilling holes in Mentos. Because each show is 600 Mentos drilled by hand. So what we have on the stage now, if you look carefully, there's a little white tube on top of every bottle that you see. And in that tube are our 6 Mentos, and there's a little wire pin at the bottom that holds the Mentos in. And at the top of the tube is an opening that will let the geyser shoot out. So when we pull that pin out, the Mentos drop in and will shoot out of the hole that we've drilled at the top. Let's try this one. I think we can use a helper. There we go, we got one. So all you need to do is pull the pin out, step back. There you go. Stay in the corner of the stage. There we go. So when that pin comes out, the Mentos should drop down into the bottle. Three, two, one. Pull the pin. Nice job. Arms up, everybody. Yes. Now, if you look carefully, you'll see that each of these nozzles on top of our bottles has a colored piece of tape on it. So they're all color-coded for us to know which bottle to put where, because each color tells us a different hole pattern that we've drilled in the tops of the nozzles. The one you just saw had an half-inch hole. It's a black nozzle. Should we try another one? This one is orange. It has 3 smaller holes. That's going to hit me. Yeah, he says, yep. All right, 3, 2, 1. Oh, we so got them. So during the show, look for the orange ones that have that 3 thing. See if you can identify it. And one final one we'll show you. This has no round holes at all. We just took a hacksaw to this and cut a slot across the top. And that does this. These are purple. 3, 2, 1, pull. So let's tell you a little bit about the science, because the science of this is really cool. It's not what you'd think it is.
Most people would think that this is a chemical reaction, that there's something about the ingredients of the Mentos and the ingredients of the Coke that makes for this explosive reaction. But it's actually a physical reaction. It has nothing whatsoever to do with the gum arabic or those kinds of things. They help a little bit here and there, but really fundamentally this is a physical reaction called nucleation. And what that is you got all this carbon dioxide, you got all of this fizz inside the soda, and it's looking for a way to get out. It wants to get out of the soda. You can see this, so what it does is it grabs onto anything bumpy that it can find. You can see this nucleation in action if you put your finger into a cup of soda. You'll see bubbles forming along the ridges of your finger. Well, the same thing is happening when you drop Mentos into a bottle of Coke. If you look at Mentos under a microscope, you'll see literally hundreds of thousands of tiny little bumps. And every one of those bumps is a place where the carbon dioxide can grab onto. So we pull the pin, the Mentos drop down all the way through the soda. Bubbles are grabbing onto the surface of the Mentos. You get bubbles grabbing onto other bubbles. You get this cascading reaction. Where's all this pressure going to get released? It comes shooting out the mouth of the bottle. So this is nucleation in action. Now, because it's a physical reaction, a lot of different things will cause at least a small geyser.
So the CO2 is going to any bumpy surface, and the bumpier the surface, the better. Mentos are super, super bumpy, which is why we use those. But even right now, Fritz is holding up a bottle with a nozzle on it with a stack of pennies. And I think we should get some small reaction just from pennies. 3, 2, 1. So it's not really high, but what that shows you, it's not the candy. It's not the chemicals in the candy. It's something else. But we have another candy, peanut M&Ms. Now, will this go higher or lower than the pennies, do you think? Let's find out. 3, 2, 1. Lower, but it goes for a while. The reaction is slower, but it takes a longer time to go. Because it's the same amount of energy in there, it's just not coming out at the same speed because it's a slower reaction with the surface of the M&Ms. Now we have the same nozzle set up with Mentos inside, just to do a fair comparison. 3, 2, 1. That's what happens when you've got a super bumpy surface.
Now, the number one question we get asked is, why does it have to be diet soda? Does it have to be diet? The answer is no. Just about any fizzy beverage will produce this reaction, including those made for adults. We have tested this extensively. And it turns out, in fact, that the biggest geysers we have ever seen, we made with champagne. Because there is so much carbonation inside of champagne, we actually got geysers that went almost 50% higher than anything else we've seen. But Coke Zero and Diet Coke, we use those because the diet sodas, they put a little bit more carbonation, so you get a little bit more power. So the geysers you'll see today will be a little bit taller than they would be with regular Coke. But most importantly, because we are about to be soaked to the skin, there's no sugar. No sugar means no stickiness. And we really appreciate that because we bathe in this stuff quite regularly. So you can use just about anything, but Mentos are particularly powerful. You can use just about any fizzy beverage, but soda, Diet Coke, and Coke Zero are particularly powerful. There's one really important thing for you to understand if you're going to do this yourself. And you are.
So when you try this, not if you try this, but when you try this, do not use soda from your refrigerator, or most of us keep it. Use warm soda. That's the most important thing to know. Use soda that's been sitting in your kitchen outside the refrigerators, put it on the back porch, or at best, as we are doing this today, put it on a big black surface in the sun for about 2 hours. Because when soda is cold, like every other physical reaction, everything's slowed down. All the energy in that system is really slow. And heat, which is just more energy in the system, means the reaction is that much faster. So what we've got right here, just to show you, is we have 2 identical bottles, 2 identical nozzles, 6 Mentos in each nozzle. One bottle has been sitting out with the rest of our show in the sun all afternoon, and one bottle has been in an ice chest. Fritz is going to pull them both at the same time and see if you can tell which one is cold and which one is hot. 3, 2, 1, pull. Or almost at this. That's just because it's cold. When we were first doing our first experiments, we were doing great for a while, and then we went outside and our plain old geysers were terrible, and we couldn't figure out why. And then we realized we were in Maine, and it was March, and it was cold. And there were kids in their driveways in Florida who were kicking our butts. And then we realized, they're in Florida, it's warm. And when we warmed up the soda, everything worked great.
Now, before we get to the really big mess, we want to let you know that we have all kinds of crazy videos that you can see at eepybird.com. Yeah, you can see our experiments with Coke and Mentos with 250,000 sticky notes. You can even see the rocket car that we built powered by Coke and Mentos. Yes, we took all of the power that you see here on this stage and we used it to propel me down the road 221 feet. It is cool. We also want to let you know we have 2 books coming out. In this November, we'll have the Viral Video Manifesto, our book on what we've learned from 6 years of creating crazy viral videos and how you can create viral videos yourself. But particularly for you guys here at Maker Faire, we want to let you know that we are working on a book of the 25 coolest science experiments of all time. Yeah. And what we want to hear and what we want to hear from you is what you think the coolest science experiments of all time are, particularly those that involve everyday objects. So we're going to be using things that you have around the house, in the garage, in the kitchen, like Coke and Mentos, to give you 25 of the coolest things that you yourself can do at home. So visit our Facebook page. Let us know what you think the 25 coolest experiments with everyday objects are, and we'll see if we can get them into our book. So after the show, we have a few bottles left over. If you would like a souvenir of your time here at Maker Faire and your time watching our Coke and Mentos extravaganza,